Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace.
Head on over to squarespace.com/rogue and sign up for your free trial. And when you do sign up for Squarespace, use promo code ROGUE at checkout, get 10% off, and make us look good. R-O-G-U-E. 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 R-O-G. So just so we're clear, this is how it begins, right? Sooner or later, they're the ED-209, and they're chopping, they're the soul crusher, they chop off your souls.
Hi, I'm Jason. How are you?
You are my enemy, and my hand will remember. The North remembers.
You just rub their belly, and they're your best friend.
I don't want to.
Judas. Oh, y'all.
Welcome to Earth.
If you hold it like this, it can't get you.
I don't believe that at all.
It's like a fish.
I don't believe that at all.
The primer on drones.
Holy cow, Jason Murphy, we are hanging out with Kelly Shores of Ready, Set, Drone. Nailed it, just in time. You killed it. So we're gonna talk about the fundamentals of what every hobbyist drone enthusiast should know. Full disclosure, I had an incident with a drone. My kids were getting way too close to it. I'm like, back away, kids. And I realized it's probably gonna be easier to control the drone than the kids. So I grabbed the drone and it, buzzed like bees. What I did not know is that the Inspire One is a floating Cuisinart that has a landing mode. So as I held it, it brought in these chopping blades and gave me 7 stitches and split me in half. So it occurs to me that maybe there's something the modern rogue should know about drones.
You know when you see a warning label like don't put your hand here because there's a spinning blade and you think, well, who's this for? Everybody knows it. It's for Brian.
All of this is to say, you should really consider safety when it comes to drone stuff. And that is something that never occurred to me because all of the drones I had experienced were toys.
Yeah.
They were like, whatever this one is. Like, how is this gonna hurt
That's the
you?
only one I'm unafraid to look directly at.
Right. So let's say you got a drone for your birthday or whatever, and you want to start to fly. The first thing I would tell you, get a drone that doesn't have any fancy bells and whistles. So this right here is one that I really like. It is the SEMA X5C. And the reason I like this drone is, first of all, these blades aren't gonna hurt you. I've grabbed this thing many times, but also it's very lightweight, very little mass. It has no GPS, has no altitude hold, has no camera, and you can really learn to fly with this thing. And the reason is because a little bit of breeze will start to take this and you can learn how to control it in such a way that you can hover it. And I've done several videos on just basics of flying, like basics of hovering, basics of landing safely, that sort of thing. Don't try to start with one of these or one of those. Get yourself a $40 toy drone with little mass, learn on that. And then had that situation arisen, and you weren't flying your first drone as an Inspire, you might have said, okay, I kind of know how to deal with this a little bit better.
So this thing feels like a really inoffensive toy. It is.
That's exactly what it is. I think it's worth pointing out now that we're recording this in 2018 and almost certainly technology is gonna change. So we're gonna speak in generalities. Consider this a very simple, lightweight, non-threatening, relatively safe thing to learn the fundamentals of how to pilot.
And very manual. It's like learning how to drive a stick shift before you drive an automatic, right? This is very, very manual, but it has a very low penalty if you crash it or if you lose it, price-wise too.
Oh, sure,
right? So the second couple of things everyone should know is that drones are to be taken seriously, especially when you have children around. Generally, you're not gonna run into somebody. You're gonna have someone who doesn't know any better. You're gonna have your dog chase it, and you don't wanna injure your dog. The best thing you can do is go out into an open field, a property like the modern Rogue headquarters, where there's lots of space, and fly safely because you're not gonna be around people that are going to be potentially injured by it, right? I'd much rather injure myself with a drone than somebody else.
So for the amateur enthusiast, what are the legalities as a hobbyist? You could buy these and you could fly them around and practice. You're allowed to, I assume you're allowed to fly around on your own property, but I assume there's limits as how high you could go, how far you can go, whether or not you are within view of other people's properties.
Yes, so I'll give you the basics. Number one, it's called 400 AGL, so it's 400 feet above ground level. Typically, I don't go that high. I mean, I might today go that high if we're gonna take some pictures of your property because we want to get up as high as we can to be able to see it. But 400 feet, you don't want to fly within 5 miles of an airport. I have a cousin who's actually a pilot for United, and he told me that if you're farther than a mile or two away, but 5 miles is the rule, planes are so high, they take off at a pretty steep angle and they land at a pretty steep angle. So altitude is something to really watch out for. These people who are taking their drones up 10,000 feet in the air, trying to break records and show off, they're the ones that ruin it for everybody else, right? At the end of the day, when there is a major incident, and I think there will be at some point, unfortunately, it's really going to be bad for the hobby in general. So flying below 400 feet, you also want to maintain line of sight with your drone, which means that you can see the drone in the air. A lot of people are using an app on their phone or on a dedicated
they
tablet.
They get dialed in and they're losing eye contact with the actual gizmo.
And that's
sure. That's like only looking through your windshield.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, not looking around.
Yeah.
That's where you want a visual observer. So typically if you're going to fly a drone in a situation where you're going to be wearing goggles or looking, you want a visual observer with you who is going to actually be looking at the drone, keeping an eye on it. And it's very helpful because a lot of times when you're in that sort of myopic view of something, you don't see around you. You don't see, oh, there's power lines over there, or you don't see whatever. So give you a great example. I did a lot of filming this past summer at my kids' summer camp while they were water skiing. I just went out on the boat, was just filming my kids water skiing, having a good time. It's Lake Pomme de Terre in the Ozarks, and there are power lines that go right across the middle of it. And I'm wearing goggles. No, well, so I didn't have any problem because I had one of the counselors that were there on the boat be my visual observer. And when we got close to the power lines, I just went up to 150 feet, went over them, and then came back down so we could get a better view.
Since this is a kind of a nascent hobby and we're seeing it get commoditized where it's in the hands of everyone, I think it's really important as the technology evolves and the legality and how you use them and how they're regulated evolves. Practice common sense.
Oh my gosh, like all of us have to be good stewards of this if we want this to continue to be a hobby that we can all share. So, separate question, right now we have the advantage of being in rural West Austin. What about downtown? Because I remember in the early days you would see drone videos from Casey Neistat just flying over people. Like, as I understand it, flying a drone over people is a bit of a no-no nowadays.
It's probably a bad idea.
So you can't fly over people, you shouldn't fly over highways or cars where there's vehicles. Like off to the side, like kind of a side perspective of that is okay. You can't fly near sports stadiums. And one of the nice things, and some people get upset about this, but I actually think it's a good thing, is geofencing. DJI and several other drone manufacturers have built geofencing into their app. If there is an event going on at DKR Stadium, for example, and you're near DKR Stadium, you can't fly. Your drone will go up 10 feet in the air and it won't go any higher.
Got it. So this is like baked in, similar to the episode we did on counterfeiting, where Adobe and printer manufacturers have baked in like, oh wait, it looks like you're trying to copy money. We're not gonna participate in whatever this is. So likewise, with the GPS data, it's like, oh, it looks an awful lot like you intend to fly this near a stadium. And we don't have anything to do with it.
It's actually dynamic, meaning that I've flown in the Dell Diamond when there wasn't a game going on. We're actually having an event, a drone event in the Dell Diamond. We have permission from the Dell Diamond to fly in that space. It's in December, right? So it's not baseball season. So there won't be a game going on, so we can fly there. It's actually activated at the time of the event.
This is like a living database, similar to the fact that your GPS data is constantly being updated with what roads are under construction.
Yes, exactly.
Correct,
turns.
correct. This is on limits, this is off limits, basically.
Correct. So flying over stadiums, flying over people, flying over cars, flying over 400 feet, and flying out of line of sight. I'd say those are kind of the big ones.
So if it's your job to keep a line of sight, how does it affect things to fly at night?
As a hobbyist, you actually can fly at night if you have the right kind of lights on your drone.
That's the 2 greens and the 2 reds.
Colors don't matter. Lights have to be visible. We did a whole video about flying at night and what the FAA says about it and what the AMA, which is the American Modeling Association, says about it. There's some gray area to it, actually, and it's actually stricter for professional pilots in terms of flying at night. They have to get permission, they have to get a waiver to do that. But for a hobbyist, if you wanted to come out here at night and fly and you stayed within line of sight and followed all the other rules, you could do that.
Okay, so let's talk about the perception of where drones can and cannot go. Because I had an incident flying this beast around that chopped up my hand. I was doing a test flying over the green belt in my neighborhood. We were there, and I hear ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. And we look over, and some dude is there with an air rifle.
Out on his patio.
With his 12-year-old son.
Taking shots
trying
at
to
it.
shoot down our... I did not handle it well. I stood up, looked him right in the eye, and shouted, "Hey, knock it off! Knock it off or I'm calling the cops." Is that the accepted way to handle it?
Did he stop?
He stopped.
He did.
It was effective.
It was effective, yeah.
With a child, like, hey, here's a piece of $3,000 equipment. Let me just beep, boop, boop, boop.
So even if you were over his house, which you probably shouldn't be, but even if you were,
Brian was in his living room.
No,
actually.
I was not.
He had piloted the drone
That's not
into
true.
the man's
Stop
house.
it.
whatever the case is, you cannot legally shoot down an aircraft. That has been proven.
Full stop
That has been proven
anywhere.
time and again.
I thought
because
that-
it's a
I thought
safety
that was-
hazard.
I
If you
thought-
think about it, if that fell from the sky and did hit somebody or did damage to property,
You ruined everything, Kelly. I'm
I
gonna be honest.
could have sworn I read an article about somebody who had a few acres and saw a drone over, like it was clearly in his space, low enough and close enough, and he shot it down, and it ended up being justified. I don't know where that's coming from, though.
Private property, and I suppose low enough, you could make a case for that, but I think generally the FAA does not permit you to shoot aircraft out of the air, no matter what. It's just a big safety hazard. And think about firing a weapon into the air in a neighborhood. Statistically, you're probably not going to kill somebody when the bullet comes down, but
still bad form.
Yes, very bad form.
So you mentioned that if you're just starting off, you should get one of these dummy drones.
Correct.
Right? What's after that?
You really should figure out what do you want to do with it, right? It's like asking a question, what kind of car should I buy? Or what kind of camera should I buy? There are different applications for different types of drones. Are you a professional photographer, in which case you probably need a bigger sensor and you need a bigger camera and you need stability? Or even if you're just an enthusiast, right? You travel a lot and you want to take pictures and video while you're traveling just for yourself, right?
And they're used a lot for independent film now. I don't know if
Absolutely.
you've noticed, but in lower budget films, there are a lot of really impressive shots all of a sudden.
Yeah, like that's the kind of thing that used to take like cranes and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
helicopters.
Yeah.
And,
Even in car commercials, right? Every car commercial you see now pretty much has drone shots.
so I would assume that in general you would want to look for things, and as we're recording this, let's say, you know, a 4K sensor.
Yep.
You want to look for
A gimbal, a 3-axis gimbal.
Okay,
ideally.
sorry, explain this one.
This device right here, mechanically it corrects for the camera, the smoothness of the camera
Right.
as the drone rotates. So it corrects on 3 axes, pitch, yaw, and roll. And a mechanical gimbal like this, it's the same thing you see on some of the handheld gimbals, you know, like the Karma Grip
yeah,
and such.
like the Osmo, where
The
it's like
Osmo,
you
yes.
run around and it's like a steady cam in your hand, right?
So if you buy something like this, and this actually has an attachment, a camera you can attach to it.
Oh, wow.
It's not going to look great.
It's not going to look very good. It's not a great camera, and a lot of companies make these toy drones, and they make them with all kinds of stuff shoved into them. They have an app, and they have a camera, and they do this, and waypoints, and follow me, and 99% of the time it's crap. It doesn't work how you expect it to work. It sort of works, and if you start that way and your expectations are high, you're going to be disappointed.
This is interesting because it sounds like the motivation on behalf of the manufacturer is to just check a bunch of boxes that
Yes.
they know Christmas shoppers are
Yep,
going to be
yep.
looking for.
Oh,
Well,
right.
that's a lot of boxes.
I got this
to
drone
check.
for $99. It does all these things.
It's kind of like when DVDs or Blu-ray players were first starting to become really prevalent.
I don't need a calendar on my DVD.
Yes,
like,
right.
You know, what the hell? So I guess what I'm saying is, for me, the starter drone, you know, back to that, because it's important, is one that has nothing. It's just a line of sight flyer, and by line of sight flyer, I mean you're not looking through goggles or anything, you're just flying it. That's how you're gonna get good at it. Then when you upgrade, okay, decide, do you wanna do photography and video?
Sure.
Then you want a decent camera, like you said, a 4K sensor, a bigger chip.
Proper gimbal.
Proper gimbal, longer flight times are good. And then you think about it, okay, am I the type of guy that wants to just film around Austin because I live here? Then this is gonna be a great choice. But this lives in that big ass case down there. Honestly, this, and actually this are all gonna look about the same to the naked eye. Really, it comes down to portability. I went to Norway last year. I took this guy with me, and it was great because this thing folds down. Travel and the ability to carry this, and by the way, you can carry these on an airplane. LiPo batteries, you're limited to how many you can carry, but it would take a lot of LiPo batteries.
LiPo batteries is lithium.
Lithium and polymer. You actually want to put this in your carry-on luggage, not in your check bag.
So it might be that we're entering the phase where there's a good enough territory on drones, where it's like, if you're learning and you're learning the basics of piloting, just get a garbage one, plan on buying 5 of them as you experiment and learn the limits of your own talents as a pilot. But then the next level, you still don't need to go to the big expensive stuff because there's this good enoughness. I mean,
Right.
Is this a 4K sensor in there?
It is.
Yeah.
This actually is
Okay.
a 4K sensor.
Yeah.
This is a Mavic Pro. This is coming up on 2
And
years
still
old.
does
Still
fine.
a fantastic, absolutely fantastic drone. And the price actually will be dropping soon because this is the Mavic 2, and this replaced this guy. This is like a Toyota, right?
Right.
These are easy to get parts for. I've broken several of them and had to have them repaired or send them in. They're not that expensive to get fixed. The batteries are cheap, etc. So a Mavic Pro is a great choice because of the portability. Now, something like this is the Mavic Air. This has a lot of the same stuff that has, but it's got a smaller sensor. It's got a little bit less flight time because the battery is smaller.
About how long?
This will fly about 18 minutes. 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so not much at all.
That'll fly about 25 minutes, practically. I mean, that's actually a pretty long time.
Oh my gosh.
It feels really, really short to me.
No. The thing that chopped up my hands, I mean, granted it's old, but like we were happy if we got 14 minutes out of a flight.
Oh, wow. That little. Yeah. Okay.
And the new Mavic 2, that'll do about 30 minutes.
Well, that's something you want to consider is the life of the battery that you're selecting, because what if you're doing something where you're doing like search and rescue with the drone?
Yeah.
So you want as much time as possible so you can go out and cover large swaths of area looking for a lost person or something like that.
So here's the bottom line, guys. If you are looking to buy a drone and it's something that you want to get to take some pictures with, to learn how to fly, etc., toy drone that you can lose. Great place to start. And then from there, once you feel pretty comfortable flying and you feel like you're going to be safe and you know the rules, then you kind of look at a spectrum. Now, mostly there's DJI drones sitting here because they're the biggest manufacturer, but I also have a Parrot. I also have a 3DR. You know, I've had other brands before. I'm not exclusively DJI, but I will say a really good economical drone is the Spark. This is $399 with a remote control, with the battery, you know, all ready to go. It's got a 2-axis gimbal, so it's not quite as stable. It doesn't stabilize in the yaw position, but it still does a really great job. It only shoots 1080, it doesn't do 4K, but this little thing has a sport mode, it flies really fast, and if you're gonna step up from a toy, I'd say the Spark is a great one to go for 400 bucks.
The important part is I could take that one in a fight. I'm pretty sure I can kick it right out of the
Well, and you know what? The guy that flew it at you and you kicked it would be upset, but not $1,000 upset, or $3,000. He'd only be $400 upset.
So if we're gonna get a beautiful Jurassic Park style shot of this entire place, which one of these are we gonna use?
We're gonna use the Mavic 2.
Can we get to the shot? This will be the first time that we get to see everything.
Yeah, let's do it.
Space. The final frontier. These are the voyagers of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds. To seek out new life and new civilizations. To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Robot overlords, come to me! Yes!
All right, I'm gonna land in your hand again.
I don't care for that, but that's okay.
You can do it.
I just wanna, what are you doing? Oh.
Do I make eye contact or look away?
Don't look it in the eye.
Okay.
Just love it from your heart. It can detect love.
If I crouch, will I avoid the blood
Brian,
spray?
you gotta look at it.
I don't know.
So you know where to put your hand.
Hey.
Okay, hold on.
We did it! We did it! I just want to spike it.
All right, Kelly from Ready Set Drone, tell us where we can find more about you.
YouTube.com/ReadySetDrone. Also Instagram, same thing, Instagram/ReadySetDrone. Just like you guys, love hearing comments, love replying to comments, love answering questions. I do often get tech support questions that I have to go look up, and it kind of makes me smarter, and really appreciate you guys having me on today.
Are you kidding me, dude? This was
has been
fantastic.
awesome.
I feel like you've opened up a new world, and for the first time, I don't mistrust these untrustworthy HKs.
You bonded
that's what
with
they
one.
want.
You bonded with it.
Get him!
You bonded with it.
Hunt him down! Get him! Can you tase him? You should tase him.
Jason Murphy, I'm terribly disappointed in our fan base.
What? Why?
Because we made it clear in no uncertain terms that skyscreamingjason.org and jasonscreams.com are still unregistered and nobody has made...
The internet needs more of me screaming.
Yes, we need a shorthand. We need a beautiful website that scales with distributed hosting and that anybody can do, whether they have HTML experience or coding wizardry. You're gonna make it look great on Squarespace.
It's so easy. You can do it in like 30 minutes.
To support the show by going to squarespace.com/rogue, that's ROGUE, and sign up for a free trial. And when they do register and set it all up, make sure to use promo code ROGUE at checkout and they'll get 10% off their first order.
They have to help us with our crusade. I will not rest until my scream has supplanted the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, look, they're not helping us, they're helping the world. The world needs the healing energy of skyscreamingjason.org.
Every time I watch a movie and I hear a Wilhelm scream, it takes me right out of the movie. How much better would it be if you're listening to the next Star War or something like that?
Star War?
Yeah, it's singular. It's the next one, so it's a Star War.
It's always gonna be a long scream.
Yeah, and you hear some poor stormtrooper falling, and it's my scream. How amazed and happy would you be?
I'll be happy if some talented musician out there auto-tunes it and makes a beautiful song and puts it on a website at skyscreamingjason.org.
Squarespace.com/rogue. That's ROGUE. Skyscreamingjason.org. That's ORG. Not gonna bother with the rest.
You might as well. You got it most of the way through.
SKYSCREAMIN.
So it's not liking us. That's its backwards sensor saying.
I told you they didn't like us.
Too close to you
I
guys.
told you they did not like us.
I've been
This is,
preparing.
I don't like the RoboCop way it moves its head.
Next time?
I don't like the way.
Next time we do a martial arts episode, there should be like Krav Maga against drones.
Yes, yes.